record them so you can look at them later on, but it covers a wide variety of topics, anything from medications to physical fitness to speech therapy, swallowing issues. So that's a great resource. You don't have to be connected with them in any specific way to utilize those resources, so check those out. The program that we offer for speech therapy is called Speak Out, and some of you may be familiar with the LSVT program, the Lee Silverman Voice Treatment Program. So it has some similarities, but some differences that I'll highlight. But if you're familiar with LSVT, Speak Out is a program that you might also be interested in. And I think the most important concept with the Speak Out program is the idea of intent. And Darlene, can you stand up again to show everybody your shirt? So Darlene's wearing a Parkinson Voice Project shirt, Live with Intent. And that is really more than just a motto.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Did I cut again? Are we, yes, or good now? Or no?
Yeah, now.
Good now, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback. So with the motor tracks, one affects automatic movement and one affects movement that is done with intent. So a lot of what we do every day is automatic. When we walk, when we talk, when we sign our name, those are all automatic functions. And those are the functions that are affected the most by Parkinson's, because automatic movement requires the use of dopamine. And we know with Parkinson's, dopamine can be depleted. So this program says, well, we can take control of our motor actions and do them with intent, do them with great thought, great care, and that actually takes a different path through the brain, and it bypasses the dopamine. We don't need dopamine for tasks that we do with intent. So I thought what would be fun to do is actually take you through some of the exercises, just the warm-ups, and everybody, I'm just taking a look here. Helpful, good. So if everyone has their mics muted, that way we don't get feedback with everybody. But I'll show you what the exercises are like. And I want to focus on the fact that we're not just talking about volume when we do these exercises, but volume is one of the key components. So the first three exercises we're going to do are some syllable work, then some volume exercises with a single vowel, and then some pitch glides. So we'll just do 5 of each of them as a little taste, but do them with me. And just sit in a comfortable position, check your posture. We want to be, chest lifted, shoulders down away from the ears. We really want to be able to open up the chest and the abdomen for some nice breathing. So if you're not quite comfortable, find a way to get to that point and follow along with me. So the exercise that we'll start with is a series of syllables. The syllables are may, me, my, mo, and moo. And again, because we're trying to take it away from automatic and put it into intent, we're going to say this in a very slow, swoopy, connected manner. So just take a listen first, and then I'll cue you to jump in with me. So it's going to sound like this. May, me, my, mo, moo. So follow along with me, and even though our mics are muted and we can't necessarily hear each other, you should be able to look around the screen and you can see energy and you can see intent in people's faces. So let's take a look. Number 1, do it with me. May, me, my, mo, moo. Great. Let's do it again. Number 2. May, me, my, mo, moo. Beautiful. I like the bright faces. Number 3. may, me, my, mo, moo. Beautiful. Let's do two more. Ready? May, me, my, mo, moo. Go ahead, last one. May, me, my, mo, moo. Beautiful. Second exercise, series of loud ahs. So again, with this great posture, mouth should be really nice and open, right? So we don't want to have a small mouth opening. We're going to dampen all that beautiful sound that you're making. If we were working on this in person, I would have a sound level meter out and visible so you could watch to see how loud you are. We want to be between 85 and 90 decibels, and that would be about the volume you would probably need to create if you were yelling from one room of your house to the next so someone could hear you. If you're ever interested in checking out how loud your voice actually is, there are low-cost apps that are available for smartphones and tablets. You can just do a little search in the App Store or on Google Play for, you can put in the title decibel or sound level meter. Should be able to find some for just a few dollars. So for this, the loud ah, and again, I want you loud enough that somebody in the next room could hear you easily. We're going to do 5 together. In our sessions, we hold it out for 10 seconds. Today, we'll just hold it out for about 5. Just follow my lead. So nice big breath. Ah. Great. Let's do it again. Big breath. Ah, beautiful. So a full body experience, even though vocal cords are right here, I really want you to feel that energy rising up through your body, send it out into the world. Ready? Ah, great. Let's do 2 more. Big breath. Ah, great. One last one. Make it count. Ah, fantastic. So remember, the vocal cords sit right here behind the Adam's apple, behind your thyroid cartilage, and they are really tiny. I know when I came out to the group meeting at Bethany, I had everyone hold up their fingers to estimate how big or small you felt the vocal cords might be. So we're going to repeat that exercise, and I know some of you know the answer to this, but just for fun, hold your hands up so we can see them in the camera, and with your pointer finger and your thumb, just give an estimation. How big do you think those vocal cords are? Everyone just hold up a measurement for me. All right. Very good. So we got all sorts of sizes here. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So the best estimation I can give you just by my own body part is it's about the length of a thumbnail. It's going to vary a little bit if you're a man or if you're a woman. Men's are a little bit longer. But if you look down at a trimmed thumbnail, that's about the length. So they are very tiny little muscles. And we want to make them strong and we want to make them flexible. An important concept to remember whether we're talking about voice therapy and that type of muscle activation or walking, any other kind of physical exercise, is that Parkinson's itself is not a disease of weakness. Parkinson's does not make your muscles weak. They get weak because of disuse or because our amplitude of movement gets smaller, right? The size of our movement shrinks down. And you can see this with walking, right? Maybe your gait gets smaller, right? Your step length gets smaller. Your handwriting, right? So a lot of times you look down and you think, wow, my handwriting has gotten so microscopic, right? Same with the voice, right? So Parkinson's may have taken this robust voice and again, made it smaller. So we want to get the voice back into regular use, which has been a real challenge during this time of COVID. It's already a challenge anyways when we have Parkinson's, and now we add on top of this a layer of maybe being a little more socially isolated. So, hats off to Warren for having this group, and I'm so glad that you guys come, and it's just a great way to connect with each other socially, but also great practice for our voice, because it is one of those situations where if we don't use it, you can lose it or it does become diminished. So the loud ah is a great strengthening exercise for the voice. And then we want to make sure the voice stays flexible. So we're going to do a series of pitch glides. We're going to take the voice from a comfortable low to our comfortable high and back down again. So let me demonstrate what that might look like. Ah, ah. You don't have to be a singer to participate in this. And again, we don't want to strain the voice at either end of your range. But what you're doing when you are changing your pitch, you're taking the whole voice box and it is rising slightly in your throat. And then the vocal cords are stretching apart and they are becoming longer and skinnier. So think of a stringed instrument, whether it be a piano, a ukulele, a guitar, right? If you pluck the string that is the fattest, it vibrates slowly, low pitch. Ah. At the other end, those very thin strings, we pluck that, vibrate more quickly, high pitch. So we're stretching out the vocal cords. So just as if I wanted you to stretch out your hamstrings, I would have you touch your toes. This is the toe touch of the vocal cords. So follow along with me, again, 5 times, starting with a nice breath. Ready? Ah. Take a breath here. Ah. Good. Number 2. Ah. Ah. Number 3. Ah. Ah. Number 4. Ah. Ah. And last one, number 5. Ah. Ah. Beautiful. So the reason we want the vocal cords to be flexible is those changes in pitch need to happen during the course of natural speech, right? So we know that we communicate through our words, but we know that our speech has meaning beyond the actual words, right? So if I said the words, I had a great day, I could change the meaning just by changing my inflection and my emotion, right? So I might say, I had a great day. And you would say, oh, you would say, that's fantastic. Tell me about it. What if I said to you, I had a great day? Okay, same words, completely different meaning, right? Because then you would say to me, oh, I'm sorry, what happened? So we want to have the inflection in our voice to be great communicators, to connect with other people. So this is one way that we can do this. Now, this program, if you were to come and say, oh, I want to work one-on-one in speech therapy, I'm going to do the Speak Out program. This program meets 3 times a week for the one-on-one therapy. We are doing in-person sessions for this, but we also have the ability to see people online. So telepractice has evolved rather quickly over the past several months, and the biggest obstacle for a lot of practitioners in the therapy world was that Medicare was very slow to come around to saying that, yes, this is a covered service. But now we are a covered service, so PT, OT, speech therapy can happen in this format. So you have that option. And once you graduate from the Speak Out programs, we meet 3 times a week for 4 weeks. You graduate from Speak Out, then I offer a once a week program that, again, Darlene is a part of, and that is called the Loud Crowd. And that is part of what makes this program special, is that unlike some other programs where you get to your last session and you're done, goodbye, cross your fingers, hope you do well, this allows you to stay in touch not only with me or whoever your speech therapist is, but with other members of the group. So in our loud crowd, we have transitioned very nicely from the in-person meetings to the online meetings. So just like this. And we have, oh, what do you think, Darlene? Probably about 5 or 6 people who come on a pretty regular basis. And Darlene was really adept at the technology. She was even dialing in from West Virginia. So that was really fun to see that that is possible. So you can stay connected in any way wherever you are, so very flexible. But if you're interested, please let me know. I'm happy to send you more information. I have one more exercise we're going to go through, and then maybe we can take questions. If you have any questions, we can also talk about swallowing. That's another aspect of what I do. It's not directly related to Speak Out, but certainly is a program that we can put together for you. So the last exercise I want to do with you is some counting. And again, counting really falls into that automatic realm of speech. So automatic tasks for speech would be things that we don't have to think about very much. You've been counting in your native language from the time that you were probably a toddler. So we don't have to think a lot about it here, which gives us the opportunity to really focus on that intent. Other automatic speech tasks might include saying the days of the week, reciting the month of the year, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Maybe there's a prayer or lyrics to a hymn that you know well. Any of that is really good practice. So for today's exercise together, we are going to count from 1 to 12. And we're going to count in groups of 3. We're going to do it like this. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to stop and take a breath. We're going to continue on until we get to 12. We're going to go backwards through the numbers and forwards once again. So follow along with me. And again, I want you to think of the idea of intent as if you were standing on a stage and everybody in the room was looking right at you. Whatever you're going to say was the most important thing they were going to hear in their lives, right? So maybe you're the CEO of a large company and everyone's hanging on your every word. So approach it with that level of seriousness, right, to help get that intent. We don't want to be casual about it because casual falls into the realm of automatic speech. Again, automatic speech highly affected by Parkinson's. When we take it and we put it up on a stage and do it with intent, we can really bypass a lot of the negative qualities that can come with Parkinson's. So with me, up to 12, we're going to stop and take a breath every 3 numbers. So take a look. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Take a breath. 4, 5, 6. Stop. 7, 8, 9. Good breath. 10, 11, 12. Good. Let's go backwards. 12, 11, 10. 9, 8, 7. Breath. 6, 5, 4. Breath. 3, 2, 1. Good. Let's go forward one more time. Imagine you're throwing each number over a tennis net. Someone on the other side has to catch that word. So with intent. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. 4, 5, 6. Nice. 7, 8, 9. Breath. 10, 11, 12. Nicely done. One point I do want to make is that what I like about the program and the concept of intent is that it does incorporate more than just loud, right? Because depending on your personality, speaking loudly really may not be comfortable. A lot of people say, well, I've always been a bit of a quiet talker. And in the same token, depending on where you are or who you're speaking with, it may not be appropriate to use the biggest volume you have, right? You might go to your library and you might need to ask a question of the librarian. You're not going to go in there and say, "Where is the fiction section?" That wouldn't be appropriate, and you're not going to use that. So instead, I want you to use intent, and maybe in that situation, intent means, hey, I'm really focusing on how much I'm moving my mouth. I'm focusing on the pitch changes in my voice to make sure it's clear I'm asking a question. I'm going to phrase my words so that they're not all run together, right? But that's a lot to think about. So as you're walking up to the librarian, I don't want you thinking about these 6 different factors that go in intent, but if you just think, speak with intent, it is easier to remember to do it. And the more we do it, the more you do it, right? It becomes more of a habit. And we know with any goal of changing how we talk, how we walk, getting involved in fitness programs, the key is consistency. So if you finish a speak out program and you come to the loud crowd and you do that every week, great way to have fun, to practice, hold yourself and others accountable, because Parkinson's is something that, we can't just treat and let go, right? It is a lifelong disorder, which means we need lifelong interventions. And hopefully, maybe Darlene can speak to this at some point. But, for me, the loud crowd just seems fun. It doesn't seem like a lot of work. I don't go, oh, shoot, it's 1 o'clock on a Friday. I have to go to the loud crowd. No, I look forward to it. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see who comes. And we have a great time together. So would definitely love to see any and all of you. And I did want to extend the invitation to say that, normally the progression is do the one-on-one speak out program and then graduate to the loud crowd. But for anybody in this group, if you would like to try out some of the loud crowd meetings just to hop in and get a sense for that, I am more than happy to send you the link to those meetings. And, if Warren maybe can be the go-between, if you want to reach out to him and say, hey, send me Megan's email or I can get you that information. We can work out the communication. But do let me know. Would love to have each and every one of you there with us. And also to let you know, like I said, we do have physical therapy in our clinic. Chris is a wonderful physical therapist, very kind, very gentle. Our main goal with opening this clinic was that we wanted a place that looked a little bit different than some of the big box clinics that we have these days. So it is only Chris, it is only me. So if you come to see me, hopefully you like me because you're going to see me every time. There's not another choice right now. Same with Chris. You're going to work with that so you have consistency. You build that relationship. We're not tossing you off to another assistant. And I think that's the way that we get really great quality care. You move through the programs very efficiently and you really get maximum benefit. One final note before I turn it back over to Warren or open it up to questions. We are offering an online exercise class that, again, Darlene participated in. Chris, the physical therapist, is certified in LSVT Big. So some of you may have heard that. So it's the physical therapy component of the Lee Silverman program. Their emphasis is on big amplitude movement. So Chris has gone through that program and I was watching her do some of the exercises and I thought, those look effective, but they didn't look particularly fun to me personally because I really like moving to music. When I hear music, I start to move and I can work out longer and squat deeper, reach higher, whatever it is. I can do more when I have music. So I said to Chris, well, let's put this together. You tell me what evidence-based movements you want to see in a program that would benefit people with Parkinson's, and I'm going to choreograph it to music. So we just did our first session 2 months ago now, had several participants, we got great feedback, so we're working on setting that up. We're going to start the program September 1st. It is on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock, and we are meeting on Zoom. So from the comfort of your home, if you want to give that a try, again, let me know. We call the program THER-X, as in therapeutic exercise. And again, happy to send out any information. We're working on balance and a little bit of strengthening and flexibility, and trying to do that in a way that's really fun to encourage you to come to class and to really live your best life and live with intent. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Warren or Diana or whoever wants to jump in.
Before we get to questions,
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the first one.
That's fine.
I was going to ask Dave's wife, because she's a caregiver. I'm a caregiver. I basically, sometimes when Warren talks to me, I don't understand sometimes the things that he says. So I wanted to ask Dave's wife, do you ever find like when Dave says something to you, you understand what he says, but sometimes words get mixed up when I thought Warren will say something and I say, well, I thought you said this. And he said, no, that's not what I said. I said this. So it sounds similar, but I don't get it sometimes. And I don't know. He could say it's me that I don't hear, and I can say it's him. He's not emphasizing the words to where I'm understanding them clearly. So I don't know which it is, but there are moments that it can be frustrating. So I don't know if Dave's wife ever does that when Dave talks to you.
Sometimes when he talks to me, it sounds like he's just mumbling and I can't understand the words at all. Sometimes.
Okay. Well, Warren's not mumbling. He's saying stuff, but it's almost like like when somebody rhymes something, it sounds like this, but it's not that. Mm-hmm. That's happening to us sometimes. So, honey, you can, right? Because
what it is when my medicine's wearing off, I lose stamina in the middle of a sentence. And
one thing that happens to us is that when I get out of bed in the morning and I don't have my teeth in, I don't take things quite as well.
Well, that I understand. Warren's got his teeth, so that's not a problem, but it's sometimes. How about you, Darlene?
My husband's extremely hard of hearing. And so I really need the intent thing. I should speak constantly like that to him, and it's exhausting. So you tend to just speak in your normal tone, and then he's like, I can't hear you. And then I have to, what are you going to do? It's like, you have to be.
No, I have good ears. I can even hear stuff I'm not supposed to hear. So that's not my problem. So I know that. But sometimes he just says stuff.
Well, he almost never gets it right away in the first try. It's like I always have to make this effort to talk to him. And I think too, you're right that if you get tired, when you're tired, it's harder to do that.
Mm-hmm. So when you're doing the intent thing, you're basically working at it, and that can be tiring to do that.
Well, or if you're tired for whatever reason, it's harder to do it.
Oh yeah, Warren went to an eye doctor appointment today and just answering questions. When we walked out, that's all he said. He said, oh my God, I'm tired just from that appointment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Got some bad muscles in my eyes.
Oh.
Trying to do the exercises to tell what's wrong is exhausting when you have to repeat numbers off a page and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, is this with the eye doctor you
yeah, the one I talked about. Yeah. And there's definitely some type of muscle imbalance.
So, but I understand, Warren, because you're doing the podcast and you're doing that. I'm assuming everybody understands when he talks and everything. Nobody gets it wrong. But I live with him, so sometimes it can be like that. What?
You never listen to my podcast.
Oh, but I don't have to. I listen to you hours way before and after the podcast, and we have conversations. But that's the thing. I notice that the speech stuff, sometimes it's like Oh, and like I say like his daughter will say to him, Dad, what are you saying? Because she doesn't get it sometimes. So I know it's something like what she's saying, the exercising part. It's like everything else. Like you have to exercise in
Yeah.
general. You also have to exercise the voice.
Yep.
And it deals also with the eating and the swallowing and all of that.
Mhm.
I want to get.
Absolutely.
Oh, can I add
It-
something to Megan's exercise class? Some of the people that join it are in wheelchairs. So
Mm.
Chris is doing the version sitting down at the same time Megan's doing it standing up. If that makes a difference to some of you, you know, if you were thinking of joining but thinking you couldn't do it.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point, Darlene. Thank you for bringing that
Okay.
up. Yeah, we want it to be accessible to everybody, and you know, I think having those options, and we modify 100%. You know, so I'm going to show you options that are faster or slower, bigger or smaller, seated and standing, you know. So we really try to make it all inclusive, because moving a little bit is better than moving not at all.
Not at all.
And, you know, and I know we've had people give us feedback to say, hey, when I first started this, I couldn't do X. And now I'm more comfortable. Like maybe my balance is a little better, or I can reach a little bit higher, or whatever. We want it to translate into functional movement. That's why we've picked the specific movements. It's not just stand up and dance, although that's fun too. But there is a method to the madness, so to speak.
Right. No,
Um,
can it be just the speech therapy?
Mhm.
Can it just be the speech therapy, honey? Because I think you only went once to speech therapy, and that was the very beginning of when you got diagnosed.
Yeah, I want her to talk about joking a little bit.
Sure.
She has to-
Yeah, we can talk. We can talk about joking. Um, so, you know, with Parkinson's, as many of you may have already experienced, that you know, swallowing can go hand in hand. So we talked about those automatic movements, right? Well, you know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, were you thinking about how you were swallowing, or did you just do it? You probably were just doing it. But a lot of the same musculature that we use every day in talking is involved in swallowing. I had a gentleman on the phone today with a diagnosis of Parkinson's, and we were talking a little bit about his swallowing, and his comment to me was, well, it's really strange. He says, you know, I'm really surprised. I'm having more problems with liquids than I am with solids. Because I think a lot of people think if I have a swallowing problem, they imagine they like chewing the food and it's getting stuck and you need the Heimlich maneuver. And that certainly can happen. But what I have found more often than not is that really with taking drinks, that is what causes people to start coughing, maybe a little bit choking, maybe some throat clearing, maybe your vocal cords, your voice sounds a little bit wet after you eat. Those are certainly all indications that we should have somebody look into the swallowing, and that somebody is typically a speech pathologist. So, you know, step one might be to go see a speech pathologist, sit down, have an evaluation in a clinic. And then step two is often going to an x-ray department to have a swallow study done, where they give you a snack. And we put some barium in it, and we essentially take an x-ray movie of you so we can see definitively where the problem is. So when we look at swallowing, we look at three main parts of the body. So we look at what's happening in the mouth, what's happening in the throat, and then further down into the esophagus. And we like to see how those systems are working together. And if there is a disorder, where is the problem happening, right? So somebody may say, hey, I'm coughing and choking on liquids. And your assumption is, oh, there must be something wrong with the throat. Not necessarily. The problem could actually be in your mouth. So our mouth, very important when you take a sip of liquid, you know, our lips are activated to hold the liquid in the mouth. The tongue has to be positioned to, you know, kind of cup that liquid so it's not pouring over the back of the throat before you're ready to it. The cheeks are involved in keeping the food from getting down here, right, into the, what we call the lateral sulcus down there in your gums. So if we don't have good control in the mouth, then food or liquid especially can travel down and essentially surprise the airway. So when you swallow, and you can all do this now, if you take your hand, flat fingers, put it on the front of your neck here, gather some saliva, make sure you can feel your Adam's apple, and swallow. What do we feel? Right? You can feel some movement, right? So you're feeling your Adam's apple move up and move down. And what that is your airway moving up and out of the way of your, in this case, saliva that's coming down that needs to be swallowed. So imagine if your mouth doesn't have good control of whatever's in it, right? Let's use liquid as an example. You just took a sip of refreshing iced tea. If your mouth cannot adequately hold and control that, all right, down it comes, airway is still open. The airway hasn't moved up and out of the way. It's right here. Liquid can come down the wrong way. And then the bigger problem is, are we going to get an aspiration pneumonia because something went down the wrong way? So I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, and I want to take more questions, Warren, if you have questions about that. But what I do want to say is vitally important. If anybody here has swallowing issues, you're charged with two things to do. Number one, if you are having regular coughing, and by regular I mean if it's happening really more than once a week, call your doctor, say, hey, I'm having these swallowing problems and I would like a referral to see a speech therapist. Again, it doesn't have to be me, but that would be number one. Number two, take a look at your oral care routine. Oral care meaning brushing your teeth. So whether you have dentures or natural teeth in there, how often are you brushing those teeth and how thoroughly are you doing it? Because we used to think that someone who took a drink and aspirated, we thought that, oh, they are at high risk for pneumonia, right? So we were going to change their diet. We were going to get them to a therapy program. And we have learned over time, we would see people, let's say I saw them in the hospital and I did that x-ray study, and I would see one person who aspirated a lot, just tons of food and liquid going down the wrong way. And I'd be so alarmed. I would think, oh my gosh, we have to change everything in their lives, right, to make them safe. And then I would follow up with them, and they never ever came back to see me for therapy, let's say, but they didn't develop a pneumonia. So we really started scratching our heads and saying, well, how can this be? How can somebody on one hand aspirate or take something down the wrong way, just this much, develops a pneumonia, is in the hospital? Somebody else over here is aspirating copious amounts of food and liquid, and they don't develop a pneumonia. What is happening here? So we got smart and we followed these people and we said, wow, the main factor that distinguishes between those two groups is oral care, brushing your teeth, as simple as that, because your mouth is your dirtiest part of your body, right? Head to toe. I don't care whatever part of your body you're thinking of right now. Mouth is dirtier. Tons of bacteria in there. So we figured out that the aspiration pneumonia people were getting wasn't necessarily because of the food or liquid. It was because of the bacteria that was in the mouth that got pulled down with the liquid or with the food. So people with clean mouths might aspirate, no pneumonia, right? But somebody who doesn't brush their teeth very frequently or very thoroughly, has a lot of bacteria in there, they were the ones that were ending up in the hospital with pneumonia. So number one way to prevent your pneumonia is brush, brush, brush 3 or 4 times a day, 2 minutes apiece. And a common question is, what about mouthwash? Well, mouthwash is great if you just want a minty, fresh breath before you give your loved one a kiss. It's not going to do a whole lot in terms of killing germs that cause pneumonia. They say they kill the germs that cause bad breath, but that's a different story. That's good marketing, right? So you really need that mechanical scrubbing to really thoroughly clean your mouth.
Interesting.
Yeah. Warren, did that answer your question in a very general way?
Quick one, then somebody else got one. But I just wanted you to go over, while you're, let's say you're waiting for an appointment to see a doctor and you're having this problem, would thicket help?
I would say that if you are routinely having difficulties with drinking, try some simple modifications, right? So does a smaller sip size help, right? So instead of a chug-a-lug, if you took one small single sip, does that make a difference? You can use thickener. The downside of thickener is that it's not as enjoyable, right? It's not, doesn't really quench your thirst quite as much. But if you notice, hey, I cough my head off with all thin liquids, but when I drink thicker liquids, not so much, that's a reasonable step to take in the interim. You can also change the way you drink. So taking a cup versus a straw versus teaspoon sips, that can make a difference. There are cups available, cups and straws on the market that limit the sip size. So if somebody has trouble discerning, okay, what is a small sip versus a big sip, there are cups and straws that are regulated that will only give you 5 milliliters or 10 milliliters. So those are options as well. You can find those on Amazon. The cup is called a Provale, Provale, Provale cup. And the straw, I think it's called the Safe straw, S-A-F-E, Safe straw. So those are options in terms of modifications. I much prefer people to modify the way they're taking things in as opposed to changing the diet, if at all possible. But sometimes changing the diet is what we need to do, at least in the interim until we get some therapy going.
Anybody have any questions? But you have to leave in like 5 minutes. Anybody have any questions?
How about the speed that you eat in?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great point. Yes, speed has a lot to do with it. And
See how Warren's smiling?
oh, look at him.
Warren's
He's
smiling
looking.
because
He's looking
he's
a little
so
guilty.
guilty of this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and a lot of us are, right? So, I would say in the course of my 20 years of practice, maybe 10 to 20% of the people who come to me with a swallowing problem, it's those people who we can say, you know what, let's watch you eat, and it's either too fast or the bites are too big. So with just some simple, what I'm going to call common sense modifications, we can alleviate the coughing, continue on a regular diet. So I recommend, if you're a fast eater, and people always tell me, well, I was one of 8 children and you had to eat faster, you didn't get food, or I was in the army or with my work. There's always reasons that kind of have trained us this way. But take your utensil, take the bite, and then put the utensil down, like literally take it out of your hand, right? Chew, swallow. So just that act.
You're smiling, Warren, because he has to do this because this changed. He wasn't a fast eater.
Yeah.
But I am noticing that he's become a fast eater because I'll be like halfway through my food and his will be gone.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, you can do that. Another strategy might be to serve smaller portions so there's not as much to rush through, and then you can certainly
that may be something I might change to them.
But those are good suggestions.
I get told by people that I talk too low and that I talk too fast, and
and that sense of talking too fast is typically because, remember, we talked about Parkinson's affecting the amplitude or the size of movement, right? So just like someone's walking, their step length gets smaller. The motor movement, right, the way you produce your sounds gets smaller. So if I'm not opening my mouth and giving full attention to all of the sounds, and I'm talking like this, it is going to have that perception of I'm talking really fast, right? So, so you might be a great candidate for one of these programs, Patricia.
I'm an ecumenical in independent living, and a lot of the people have hearing aids that don't work or something because they are the same.
I know.
It
is definitely the perfect storm. Absolutely.
I'm wondering, maybe it's not me, it's them, but I do try to talk to speak up.
So sometimes it's a little combination of both. That's true.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Well, if anyone has any questions for me, feel free to reach out. Warren can definitely share my information. Our clinic name, again, is Harmony in Motion. You can Google that and find us online. We are harmonyinmotiontherapy.com. We have a Facebook page. Again, lots of wellness programs, a lot of great one-to-one therapy, and would love to see you all.
That's a very good title, therapy.
Thank you. I actually... I named it after my first grade teacher, Mrs. Harmon, And Mrs. Harmon was somebody who really taught me to be just a strong, independent person. At 6 years old, I was very much a perfectionist. I felt like I was letting people down all the time if I made any mistakes. And I remember coming home from her class one day and I said to my mom very excitedly, I said, "Mom, I didn't cry today." And she's like, "Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness, Mrs. Harmon." So when I was thinking about a good name and people and places that inspired me, I thought, okay, Harmon, harmony, that just kind of works, because we feel like medicine these days is very chaotic. So we wanted to reverse course, and yes,
someday.
that would be great. We'd love to see you.
Great talk.
Well, thank you so much. I
Good talk.
appreciate the opportunity, Warren. Thanks
very
for
much.
reaching out. And do let me know if anyone wants to jump online. Our Loud Crowd meetings are every Friday at 1 o'clock, and happy to send you the link to that.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have
All
a great
right.
day. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was good. That was really
Yeah.
good.
I'm gonna try to get her podcast.
You definitely should, because there were some things I didn't know about that she was talking. I didn't know.
She's with Chris, the one that did the last.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you don't necessarily have to do just the physical therapy. You can qualify just for the voice therapy, couldn't you, honey?
They're two
Because
separate
you-
things.
Yeah,
They're two-
because you haven't done it, Warren, since you started.
I know.
And that's been a lot of years.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're two separate things. Like the LSVT, they have the big and the loud. They're two separate therapies.
Yeah.
So I did the speech with her, and I like the idea that we have the loud crowd and keep meeting, so you keep doing it, otherwise you
Right.
tend, oh well,
And it's good, because I mean, when you talk, Darlene, you're very easy to understand when you are talking.
Thank you. I'll tell my
Yeah.
husband said that.
Well, that's because he has an hearing aid. But imagine if we continue like this and I end up with a hearing aid and Warren I'm not understanding him, it's just going to be a yelling match at
But
each other.
don't throw
Get a lot
out your hearing aid or step on it or anything or lose it. That's what they do here.
I want to say something about the eating. Maybe if Warren would chew more, because I have a similar problem. And I'm concentrating on how long I chew.
They say you're supposed to chew a certain amount. When you eat, you're supposed to chew a certain amount of times before you swallow.
I know if I'm
And-
chewing on meat here for 10 minutes, I know it's bad, so I don't eat it.
I think
But-
sometimes what you're eating too, I know, for instance, cooked spinach, if I try to eat that, it just catches in my throat. And beef, like a steak, I chew and chew and chew. We finally decided my husband can eat the steaks and I'll have a hamburger steak. So
Right.
there's foods that trigger it too, I think.
Right, because I'm wondering, I'm bringing it up, and honey, I'm bringing it up because I'm wondering, is the day going to come when I'm going to have to change how we eat and what we eat, and when I will know that? I mean, because, if you don't have Parkinson's, you don't think about anything about just, you're going to eat whatever. But
Oh,
then
just
if
wait.
I start noticing that you're coughing, like I don't like it when you eat peanuts. I hate watching you eat them because I'm thinking, if you choke, all I'm going to do is panic. and if you live through it, I'm going to yell at you for eating them. So it's like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Well,
No
that's
more peanuts for you.
my
I'll become
favorite.
like the soup Nazi. No more of this for you. No more of
My
that for you.
My favorite food now is mashed potatoes.
See, so this is something I'm kind of paying attention to. So this is why I liked talking to her. And I think it would help you if you did go to some of her speech stuff, because my gosh, it's been over 10 years and you haven't done it. And you're doing great with the treadmill. But I would think like on the speech part and all of that, because if I have to change our diet, something
That's
would
just-
have to.
But that'll happen gradually. It won't be like overnight. It'll be bit
Well,
by
it's
bit.
been 10 years, so I would say gradually is coming.
Yeah,
Let's wait to
say, like me, I'm not going to eat beef maybe, or I'm not going to eat cooked spinach. Things that'll bother me, but bit by bit, you might narrow it down.
Right.
Darlene, can you take small pieces of steak? I hate to hear that you're limiting yourself.
I do, but it just seems like I'm chewing them so long. It gets annoying. So that's why we said, well, we make one for steaks for me. What's that?
It'll build up the muscles in your mouth.
Yeah, and pork sometimes too. There's some pork that's good and others that's just, you feel like you're chewing and chewing and chewing.
So I feel sometimes it's just chewing forever. So
Yeah.
it's meal.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a
I
meal.
mean, and some meat is tender compared to other meats, right?
Yeah. They should
'Cause,
marinate.
we bought some meat from Sam's Club, Korean style meat, and it was kind of like shredded meat. And I made udon noodle soup with it the other day, and that was kind of tender, right, honey? For it to go, I noticed that was very tender compared to like a chunky piece of meat that you would make in a
Yeah.
soup stew or something, just
Oh,
different
yeah.
texture.
Beef stew.
Yeah. Because,
Darlene, I think you ought to eat filet mignon.
ooh,
that's
filet
fine.
mignon.
I gotta do it, make it worth my while, huh?
That's tender.
Oh, my
Good tender.
Well, like
goodness.
smoked pork, we found some smoked pork that was really tender, and then other pork isn't, it's not, so.
Okay. But she was good. She was really good,
Very
some of the
good.
stuff that she
Mhm.
said. Very interesting. And I hope you can get her on a podcast, honey. I'll think of some questions I want to ask her.
I don't know if
Oh,
everybody realizes how you exaggerate what you're worried about.
I'm the
Worry
one
about-
that's going to live with you. So you may say whatever you want to say, while you're choking there, and I'll say, well, I'm not going to worry about it then.
There's 100 things to worry about. So
Well,
why worry
you
about
choking, you're going to wish I worry.
I think you ought to learn CPR.
I think so too, because all I know how to do is panic.
Well, Heimlich.
I have very large tonsils, so things get caught in the back of my throat.
Honey,
So-
when we were dating, there was nothing getting caught by your throat. Okay? Now all of a sudden you got big tonsils and all this other stuff. When we were dating, you didn't have any of that. So
Muscles grew.
I'm not buying it.
Well, our bodies change as we get older.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, look, I just went to go get my eyes checked, and now I'm going to have cataracts surgery. So, and that was just me going to go get my eyes checked. So this is the time when things are falling apart.
Yeah.
Dave, you need to be another man with me on here. You can't just
Oh, look. You need to
keep
speak
muting
up.
yourself.
You
No,
need it, Dave.
just me and you.
Oh my God.
Just you.
Well, I'm sorry. It was a good meeting, though.
Thank you.
Very good.
But she's very learned.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
She's
actually on
Up
time,
when
too.
she does her exercises too. Because the first time we did it, I'm watching her and I said, oh, I'm doing this and thinking, what if I looked like her when I did it? And Chris said, I think that too.
Wow. Lauren, what's the name of your doctor you're going to try to get? The one that you just went to his appointment today? We're going to try to talk him into doing a podcast. And that's for eye therapy.
Dr. Henry.
Yeah, for eye therapy. And we're finding out a lot of stuff about the eyes.
Well, my eyes are going. And I had cataract surgery 5 years ago, and they were in great shape. And every time I go to the eye doctor, they say my eyes are great. And I say to them, why can't I see?
Huh.
And especially towards the end of the day,
Yeah.
I start seeing double.
Mhm.
Ooh, see, that's what Warren was doing, seeing double.
Yeah,
What did he say about your eyes?
that there's definitely something going on. He's gonna talk to me next week.
Yeah, the eye doctor that he went to referred him to this other doctor.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Keep us
Well,
posted.
we'll let you guys know how it goes.
He's
I think he's
good.
on vacation. Probably be about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
All
go.
right.
I'll see you next week.
All right,
I see.
guys.
Okay, see you. Thanks a lot.
See you later.
Waving goodbye, honey. Goodbye. I'm leaving. Bye-bye, Patty.
See you. Take care.
Bye, Dave.